Sebastian Hale worked in a big, shiny office at the top of a tall building in New York City. He was 41 years old and ran a huge business called Richardson Investments. People said he was very successful, but deep down, Sebastian felt something was missing. No matter how hard he worked, he couldn't fill the empty space in his heart. One cloudy October afternoon, Sebastian stood by the giant windows, looking out at the busy city below. His assistant, Veronica Tate, came in. She had worked with him for over 10 years and always knew how to take care of things. "Mr. Richardson, your last meeting was canceled. Attorney Eliates had an emergency in court," she said. Sebastian nodded. "Anything else?" Veronica Tate hesitated. She looked at him kindly. "It's been 10 years since your mom passed away," she said softly. Sebastian felt like he had been punched in the stomach. His mom had raised him alone after his dad left when he was little. She worked 2 jobs and gave him everything. Losing her was the hardest thing that ever happened to him. "Thank you for remembering, Veronica Tate. You can go home early," Sebastian said. A little later, Sebastian decided to leave the office. He wanted to take a walk in the rain before getting his car. As he walked through the wet streets, the rain got heavier and heavier. When he passed the courthouse, he saw a young woman sitting on the steps. She was soaking wet, and her hands were holding her pregnant belly. She was crying, but trying to hide it. Sebastian stopped. Normally he would have kept walking. The city was full of sad stories, and he couldn't help everyone, but something about her made him pause. Maybe it was the memory of his mom. "Ma'am, are you okay?" he asked, holding his umbrella over her. The woman looked up at him. Her blue eyes were red from crying. She looked very tired. "I'm fine," she said, but her voice was shaky. "You don't look fine," Sebastian said gently. He sat down next to her. "I'm Sebastian Hale. Can I help you?" The woman hesitated, then said, "I'm Olivia Grayson. I just came out of a court hearing. I'm fighting to keep my baby." "What do you mean?" Sebastian asked. "The baby's father wants to take custody as soon as the baby is born. He has a lot of money and the best lawyers," Olivia explained. "I only have a public lawyer who doesn't seem to care about my case." Sebastian felt angry. Why does he want to take the baby away? "He says I can't raise a child because I lost my job," Olivia said, holding her belly protectively. "But I love this baby more than anything. It's not fair." Sebastian handed her his business card. "I know the best family lawyers in the city. Let me help you." Olivia looked at the card and gasped. "You're Sebastian Hale. I can't afford someone like you." "I'm not asking for money," Sebastian said. "Sometimes helping is just the right thing to do." Thunder rumbled in the sky. Sebastian stood up and offered her his hand. "Come on, let's get out of the rain. There's a cafe nearby where we can talk." Olivia hesitated, then took his hand. They walked through the rain together. Sebastian felt something warm inside him, something he hadn't felt in a long time. At the cafe, Sebastian ordered chamomile tea for Olivia and black coffee for himself. The cozy cafe smelled like fresh coffee and felt warm compared to the cold, rainy street outside. Olivia started to tell her story. She said she had met James Grayson, the father of her baby, at a fancy work party. At first, he seemed kind and gave her gifts and trips, but when she told him she was pregnant, he changed completely. "He was furious," Olivia said. He accused me of planning this and said it was a scam. He offered me money to get rid of the baby, but I refused." Sebastian listened carefully. "After that, he ruined my life," Olivia continued. "He made me lose my job and told lies about me. Now he's trying to prove I can't take care of my baby so he can take custody." Sebastian asked, "Do you have proof? Messages, emails, anything?" Olivia nodded. "I kept everything." "That's good," Sebastian said. "I know James Grayson. He's powerful, but I've heard bad things about him. I want to help you." Olivia looked at him. "Why would you do that?" Sebastian looked out the window at the rain. "My mom raised me alone, just like you. She always said we should help others the way we wish someone had helped us." Olivia's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispered. Sebastian smiled. First thing tomorrow, I'll introduce you to Clara Eliotez. She's the best family lawyer I know. Sebastian texted Veronica Tate to dig up information about James Grayson. Soon, Veronica Tate replied, James had done similar things before, trying to take custody from women and settling the cases secretly. This changes everything, Sebastian told Olivia. We can use this to show the court what kind of man he really is. Olivia looked nervous. I'm scared. He has so much power. Now you have someone on your side who knows how to deal with people like him, Sebastian said firmly. They spent the rest of the afternoon making plans. Sebastian arranged for Olivia to move into a safe apartment and made sure she would have the best medical care. When it was time to leave, Sebastian called his driver to take Olivia to her hotel to pack her things. Sebastian, Olivia said before getting in the car, how can I ever thank you? Sebastian smiled. Just be a great mom to your baby. That's all the thanks I need. As the car drove away, Sebastian felt something he hadn't felt in years, a sense of purpose. For so long, he had focused only on his business. For the first time in 10 years, Sebastian felt like he was truly doing what his mother would have wanted. His phone rang, and it was Veronica Tate again with more news about Grayson. Sebastian knew the fight was just starting, but this time he was ready. It wasn't just about business anymore. It was about helping someone and being the person his mom always believed he could be. The next morning, Sebastian and Olivia were at a lawyer's office. The office was fancy, with big windows showing the tall buildings of Manhattan. The lawyer, Isabel Eliotez, walked in. She was 55, with gray hair and a calm, confident way of moving that made people respect her. Sebastian smiled when she entered. Isabel, he said, when you called me last night, I got curious about this case, she replied. Then she turned to Olivia. Miss Grayson, nice to meet you. Olivia looked nervous. Actually, she said, I go by my maiden name, Collins. Good choice, Isabel said, nodding. She opened her briefcase and laid out some papers. Sebastian sent me some information last night. I've read it, and we have a lot to do. Olivia looked hopeful, but also a little scared as she put her hands on her belly. Isabel began, we need to fight back against the lies James Grayson is spreading about you. He's making people think you're irresponsible and emotional. Is that right? Olivia nodded. He made me lose my job and told lies about me to others. That's bullying and defamation, Isabel said firmly, writing notes. Sebastian also told me about other people Grayson has treated badly. We can use that to help you. Sebastian leaned forward. Isabel, use whatever resources you need. My team is already looking into the other victims. That's great, Isabel said. She smiled. Now, Olivia, I need you to tell me everything about what happened. Even small details can be important. For the next hour, Olivia told her story. She explained how her relationship with Grayson had started off fine, but soon turned bad. He became controlling, and after he found out she was pregnant, he became cruel. He even threatened my family, Olivia said, her hands shaking. He said if I didn't listen to him, he'd ruin my parents. Sebastian's fists tightened. He hated seeing someone use power to hurt people like this. Isabel asked, do you have any proof of these threats? Yes, Olivia replied. Some were in person, but I recorded 2 of our conversations. That's great evidence, Isabel said with a big smile. Grayson is so used to getting his way that he's gotten sloppy. Sebastian asked, what's our next step? First, we make sure Olivia is safe, Isabel said. Sebastian, the apartment you found for her was a smart idea. Olivia, don't talk to Grayson directly anymore. Everything goes through my office now. What about custody of the baby? Olivia asked. We'll fight hard, Isabel promised. Grayson might have money, but threatening a pregnant woman and her family makes him look bad. We'll use that against him. Sebastian then spoke up. Olivia, there's something else. I'd like to offer you a job at Richardson Investments. Olivia blinked. What? We need someone with your skills in digital marketing. I've seen your work and it's great. This isn't charity, it's because you're talented, he said with a smile added. We'll document everything properly so it doesn't look suspicious. Your skills make you perfect for the job, and it also counters Grayson's lies about you being financially unstable. Olivia took a deep breath. Why are you helping me so much? Isabel answered. Because sometimes we need to fight for what's right, and you, Olivia, are worth fighting for. The rest of the meeting was busy. Isabel set up a strong plan to fight Grayson, and Sebastian made sure every resource was ready. When they left, the sun was shining on the city, making everything glow. As they waited for the elevator, Olivia said, "About the job. You start Monday," Sebastian replied. "And remember, it's not charity, it's because you're talented." In the elevator, Sebastian thought about how his life had changed. His mom had always said true wealth was about helping others, not just making money. Olivia smiled softly. Yesterday, I was crying in the rain, feeling hopeless. Today, I feel like I can fight for me and my baby. Sebastian nodded. Sometimes, our greatest strength comes when we feel weakest, he said, remembering his mom's words. The elevator doors opened, and Sebastian felt ready for this new chapter. The fight wasn't over, but for the first time, it felt like the odds were changing. The next week was busy. Olivia moved into her new apartment and started her job. Meanwhile, Isabel and her team worked hard to build the case. Sebastian kept everything running smoothly. One day, Veronica Tate, Sebastian's assistant, came into his office. She looked worried. "Mr. Richardson, James Grayson is here. He's in the lobby and wants to see you." Sebastian straightened his tie and smiled coldly. "Send him up, and let Isabel know." A few minutes later, Grayson stormed into the office. He was tall, well-dressed, and angry. "Richardson," Grayson snapped. "What do you think you're doing?" Sebastian stayed calm. "James, have a seat. Would you like some coffee?" "Don't play nice with me," Grayson growled. "You hired Olivia and paid for her lawyers. Why? What's in it for you?" Sebastian stayed calm. "Maybe I don't like bullies, or maybe I recognize talent." Grayson leaned closer, trying to scare Sebastian. "You don't know who you're messing with." Sebastian stood up. "Oh, I know exactly who you are, James. 3 other women, all pregnant, all bullied by you. Each one signed a deal to stay quiet, but I know about them." "That's impossible," Grayson shouted. Sebastian smiled. "Money can open a lot of doors, James, and guess what? I have more money than you." Grayson looked worried. He stammered, "What do you want?" "Nothing for me," Sebastian replied, "but Olivia just wants to raise her baby in peace. No threats, no lies, leave her alone." At that moment, Isabel walked in, holding her phone. "Interesting words, Mr. Grayson. I recorded that." "You can't do that," Grayson yelled. "In New York, I can," Isabel replied calmly. And this is a private office with clear signs about recordings. But please, go on." Grayson's face turned red with anger, then pale with fear. "This isn't over," he shouted as he left. "You're right," Sebastian said, smiling, "but it'll end soon, and not your way." After Grayson left, Isabel turned to Sebastian. "That was intense. He's scared." "Scared people make mistakes," Sebastian said. "Let's warn Olivia. I don't want her feeling trapped." "I thought this was just you trying to do something nice," Isabel said. "But it's more than that, isn't it?" Sebastian looked out the window. "My mom used to say, money without purpose is just numbers. Olivia isn't just a case. She's someone worth fighting for." Later, Isabel got a call. 2 of Grayson's former victims agreed to testify. "That's great," Sebastian said. "And Olivia? She's safe at work," Isabel replied. Sebastian smiled. "Good. I'll visit her later. She needs to know she's not alone." When Sebastian got into the elevator, his phone buzzed with a message from Olivia. "I heard about Grayson. Are you okay?" she asked. Sebastian typed back, "Perfectly fine. And you?" "Scared but strong. Thank you for everything, Sebastian." "There you go. The text is written just as you provided." Sebastian smiled. The battle wasn't over, but for the first time, he knew what he was fighting for. It wasn't just about Olivia and her baby. It was about being the person his mom always knew he could be. Grace and Sebastian stood at the doorway of the marketing office, watching Olivia give a presentation. She was amazing. Even though she hadn't been with the company long, she had already come up with clever ideas and earned everyone's respect. She's a natural, said Veronica Tate, who had quietly joined him. The team loves her. Sebastian smiled a little. Sometimes I wonder who's helping who in this story. When the presentation ended, everyone clapped loudly. Olivia smiled and rested her hands on her big belly. She was 7 months pregnant. She looked over and saw Sebastian. He gave her a small nod. After the meeting ended, Olivia walked over. "Mr. Richardson," she said, "I didn't know you were watching." "Sebastian," he corrected, as he had many times. "And I came to invite you to lunch. Isabel has news about the case." The restaurant was on the top floor of the Richardson building with a great view of Central Park. Isabel was already there, sitting at a table with a big briefcase. "Good news," Isabel said as they sat down. "Melissa Thompson has agreed to testify and give us all the documents for her case against Grayson." Olivia leaned forward. "What does that mean for us?" "It means we can show a pattern. Grayson uses the same tricks every time. He isolates people, controls their money, and threatens their families," Isabel explained, opening a folder. As Isabel talked, Olivia's face showed both shock and relief. She wasn't alone. Others had suffered too. "There's something else," Isabel said, her voice changing. "We found out why Grayson is so obsessed with this paternity test." "What do you mean?" Sebastian asked, noticing Isabel looked uneasy. His father, Victor Grayson, had a rule in his will. Most of the company's shares can only go to his direct family. If Olivia's baby is proven to be Grayson's child, it changes everything about who controls the company. Olivia's face went pale. "So he doesn't care about the baby. He just wants to keep his company." Isabel nodded. "Exactly, and there's more. Grayson's younger brother is fighting him for control. If there's a new heir, it shakes everything up." Olivia touched her belly protectively. "My baby has only ever been a threat or a tool to him." Sebastian reached out and took Olivia's hand. "We won't let him turn your child into a chess piece in his game." Just then, Isabel's phone rang. She answered and listened carefully. "I see. Keep me updated," she said, hanging up. Her face looked serious. "Grayson has called for a special board meeting tomorrow." Olivia frowned. "Why?" Sebastian's jaw tightened. "He's going to try to change the company's rules before the baby is born." Isabel nodded. "If he changes the rules now, we'll have no case." Sebastian stood up. "Veronica Tate, call Elliot Pierce. Tell him I need him tonight." Veronica Tate, who had been waiting quietly nearby, already had her phone out. "The corporate law expert?" "Exactly," Sebastian said. Olivia looked at him with worry and gratitude. "Sebastian, you're doing so much." Sebastian's voice softened. "When I met you on that courthouse staircase, something changed. I'm not just fighting Grayson. I'm fighting for something I lost a long time ago, family." The room was quiet for a moment. Isabel sniffled and broke the silence. "We've got work to do. Olivia, I need you in my office this afternoon to prepare your statement about Grayson's threats." As Isabel made plans, Olivia looked at Sebastian with teary eyes. "You talked about family. You know, since I lost my parents in that accident 2 years ago, I thought I'd never have that again. But now." Sebastian's heart tightened. He understood that loneliness. "Family isn't just about blood," he said softly. "It's about people who choose to stand by you." The rest of lunch was spent discussing strategies, but something had shifted. It wasn't just about the case anymore. A sense of belonging was forming, something neither of them had expected. The next morning was tense. Sebastian had spent the whole night in his office with Elliot Pierce studying the company's rules. "The rules are clear," Elliot said, adjusting his glasses. "Control of the company must stay with direct heirs of Grayson blood." Sebastian nodded. "And he's trying to change that before the baby is born." "Yes, but look at this," Elliot said, pulling out an old document. This is the original rule from 1975. It says that any changes must be approved by all heirs, including unborn children with proven paternity. Sebastian smiled. That changes everything. Just then, his phone rang. It was Isabel. Sebastian, we have a situation. One of Grayson's ex-girlfriends, Amelia Dawson, was found dead in his apartment. Sebastian froze. What? It looks like an overdose, but the timing is suspicious. She was supposed to testify next week, but she left a letter and recordings, lots of recordings. I'm coming to your office now. When Isabel arrived, Olivia was already there, pale but determined. The recordings revealed how Grayson had threatened and manipulated Amelia. He's a monster, Olivia whispered, holding her belly protectively. He was, Isabel said. Now we have proof. Sebastian looked at Olivia. Are you okay? No, she said honestly, but I'm staying. This isn't just about me anymore. Sebastian's phone rang again. Mr. Richardson, the board meeting is in an hour, Veronica Tate said. Good. Contact the press. It's time to change the game, Sebastian said. Isabel raised an eyebrow. What are you planning? Grayson wants to play dirty. We can too, but only if Olivia agrees. Olivia took a deep breath. Do what you need to do. I'm not hiding anymore. An hour later, the press gathered outside Grayson Technologies. Sebastian, Olivia, and Isabel walked in under flashing cameras. Upstairs in the boardroom, Grayson looked shocked when they entered. This is a private meeting, he said. Actually, Elliot interrupted. The 1975 rules say all heirs must be present, including unborn children. He placed the old document on the table. Grayson's hands shook. That's ridiculous. And illegal, Isabel added. We have proof. The boardroom buzzed with whispers. Grayson's younger brother finally spoke. What have you done, James? In the next hour, everything fell apart for Grayson. The board voted to suspend him, pending an investigation. As they left, Olivia took Sebastian's arm. Thank you, she said softly. It's not over yet, Sebastian replied, but you're safe now. Both of you are. 2 weeks later, life was settling into a new rhythm. Olivia was thriving at work, and the investigations into Grayson continued. Sebastian found himself spending more time near the marketing department, finding excuses to see Olivia. One day, Veronica Tate walked into his office. Sebastian, Isabel is on the line. She says it's important. Sebastian picked up the phone. What is it, Isabel? Margaret Grayson, James's mother, just visited me, Isabel said. She wants to meet with Olivia and with you. Sebastian got a call that surprised him. Sebastian, I think Margaret is being honest, the person said. She has brought something important. You need to see it. Can you come to my office this afternoon? After the call, Sebastian went to the marketing department to talk to Olivia. He found her in her office working with her team. Olivia, Sebastian said softly from the doorway. She looked up, and Sebastian noticed her face light up a little. He'd been noticing that a lot lately. In the hallway, Sebastian explained about Margaret Grayson. Olivia listened carefully, resting her hands on her big belly. She was 8 months pregnant. Do you think it's safe to meet her? Olivia asked. Isabel will be there, and I'll stay with you the whole time, Sebastian promised. Olivia smiled, and Sebastian felt his heart warm. You never leave, she said softly. Later, in Isabel's office, Margaret Grayson was waiting for them. She was an older woman with kind eyes. Olivia, Margaret said, standing up, you look just like Amelia described. Amelia? Olivia asked, surprised. Margaret nodded and took an envelope out of her bag. Amelia Dawson was my close friend. She told me all about James and the terrible things he's done. I tried to stop him, but I failed. Sebastian watched as Margaret opened the envelope. Inside were letters and photos. Amelia sent me these before she died, Margaret said. It's proof of what James has been doing for 15 years. Isabel, the lawyer, looked at the documents. This is very important, but why now? Sebastian asked, still cautious. Margaret looked at Olivia with tears in her eyes. Because I can't let anyone else get hurt. Amelia didn't die by accident. I need to stop my son before he hurts anyone else. Olivia reached out and held Margaret's hand. "You're not responsible for what James did," Olivia said kindly. Margaret sighed. "But I stayed quiet for too long. My husband Victor tried to stop James through his will, but it only made James more obsessed with power." Margaret then pulled out a small diary. "This belonged to Victor. These are his last notes. He was planning to change the will to protect the company from James." Isabel read through the diary. "If this is true, it changes everything," she said. Margaret nodded. "Victor was in good health when he wrote it. I have proof." Sebastian realized what this meant. This could protect Olivia and the baby. It could also stop James from controlling the company. Margaret nodded. This isn't about revenge. It's about justice and protecting the future, especially for this child. Olivia, who had been quiet, finally spoke. "What happens next?" "Now," Isabel said, "we prepare an even stronger case using this evidence." Olivia looked a little pale. "Are you okay?" Sebastian asked. "Just a little overwhelmed," Olivia admitted. Margaret placed a gentle hand on Olivia's shoulder. "You need to rest. This stress isn't good for the baby." Sebastian agreed. "Let's call it a night." As they said goodbye, Margaret held Olivia's hand. "I'd love to be part of my grandson's life if that's okay." Olivia looked at Sebastian, then back at Margaret. Of course, he or she deserves to know the good side of the Grayson family. On the way home, Olivia was quiet. "What's on your mind?" Sebastian asked gently. "It's strange," Olivia said with a small smile. "At first, I felt like I was losing a family. Now it feels like I'm gaining one in an unexpected way." Sebastian smiled back. "Family isn't always about blood." "No," Olivia agreed, her eyes meeting his. "Sometimes it's about the people who stay by your side no matter what." The elevator reached the first floor, but they hesitated before getting out. Something unspoken was in the air. Sebastian started to say something, but Olivia's phone buzzed. "It's my doctor," she said. "They're scheduling my last ultrasound." "Do you want company?" Sebastian asked. Her smile was answer enough. At the clinic, Sebastian sat next to Olivia in the waiting room. He noticed other couples holding hands and smiling nervously. "Miss Collins," a nurse called out. Olivia stood up, and Sebastian quickly helped her. "You don't have to stay," Olivia said softly. "I know you're busy." "Nothing is more important than this," Sebastian replied, surprising even himself. Dr. Eliotez, their kind doctor, welcomed them with a smile. "Olivia, I see you brought company this time." "This is Sebastian," Olivia said, blushing. "He's been everything to me these past few months." The doctor started the ultrasound, and Sebastian was amazed by the moving image of the baby. "Do you want to know the gender?" the doctor asked. Olivia looked at Sebastian, who said, "It's up to you." "I want to know," Olivia decided. "It's a girl," the doctor announced, "and she's perfectly healthy." Olivia's eyes filled with happy tears. "A girl," she whispered, looking at Sebastian. "It's a girl." Back in the car, Olivia broke the silence. "Do you think I made the right choices today?" Sebastian nodded. "I think you made a mother's choice, putting your daughter first." "Our daughter," Olivia said softly, blushing. Sebastian felt his heart swell. "Olivia, I need to tell you something. When I found you that day, I was searching for something without even knowing it. Now I can't imagine life without you or the baby." Olivia looked at him, tears in her eyes. "I can't imagine life without you either." The baby kicked, making Olivia laugh. She placed Sebastian's hand on her belly so he could feel it too. "I think she approves," Olivia said, smiling. Olivia nodded. "You talk about her so much, how much she meant to you. Somehow I feel like she brought us together. If it hadn't been for that special day, hey, you might not have stopped to help me up that ladder." Sebastian got up from his chair and walked over to Olivia. He knelt down beside her and said, "It's perfect." His voice was shaky. "Lily Hayes," he began to say, but then stopped, realizing what he was about to suggest. Olivia took his hand and laced her fingers with his. "Maybe what?" she asked softly. Sebastian's heart was beating fast. "I know everything happened in a strange way for us. We met in tough times, and maybe it's too soon to say this, but it's not too soon, Olivia interrupted gently. Actually, it feels like we've been waiting our whole lives for this. Sebastian smiled, knowing her words were true. Marry me, he said. Not because we have to, not because of the baby, but because I can't imagine my life without you, without both of you. Olivia's eyes filled with tears. She pulled him closer and whispered, Yes, 1,000 times yes. At that moment, the baby kicked strongly, making them both laugh. I think Lily approves, Olivia said with a smile. Lily Hayes, Sebastian said softly, testing the name. My mother would be so honored. That night, as they lay in bed, Sebastian watched Olivia sleeping. His hand rested gently on her belly, where their daughter was growing. So much had changed in his life so quickly, but everything felt just right. Olivia's phone vibrated with a silent message. It was from Clara. Agreement with Grayson finalized. He leaves the country tomorrow. Everything is secured. Sebastian replied with a simple, thank you, knowing that part of their lives was now behind them. Olivia shifted in her sleep, mumbling softly. Sebastian pulled her closer, feeling her warmth. In just 3 weeks, his daughter would be born. His family, the one he never knew he needed, would finally be complete. I love you, he whispered in the dark. His words carried all the promises of the future they would build together. Olivia smiled in her sleep, as if she could feel his love, even in her dreams. Some feelings are too big for words. They fill up every empty space, heal old wounds, and build bridges over impossible gaps. The next morning, Manhattan's October breeze carried the last leaves of fall. Exactly 1 year had passed since Sebastian's life changed forever. He thought back to that fateful day on the courthouse steps. Lily Margaret Richardson was born 3 weeks early, on a quiet summer evening. It was as if she couldn't wait to meet the world. Sebastian remembered the moment he first held his daughter. Her blue eyes, just like Olivia's, seemed to hold all the wisdom in the world. She has your chin, Olivia had said, lying in the hospital bed, tired but glowing, and definitely your stubbornness. Now, sitting in his office at Richardson Investments, Sebastian looked at the photos on his desk. They told the story of his new family. Lily at 3 days old, sleeping on Olivia's chest. Lily at 2 months old, smiling for the first time. Lily with Margaret Grayson, her new doting grandmother. Mr. Richardson? Veronica Tate's voice interrupted his thoughts. Olivia is here with little Lily. Sebastian's face lit up as Olivia walked into his office, carrying their now 3-month-old daughter. Olivia looked even more beautiful than the day they met. Lily wore a mint green dress, the same color as her nursery. Ready for today? Olivia asked, handing Lily to Sebastian. Almost, he said, kissing his daughter's forehead. I just need to sign a couple of important papers first. Olivia looked curious. What papers? Sebastian handed Lily back to her and picked up a folder. First, this is for Lily. It's official. 30% of the company's shares are now in her name. Olivia's eyes widened. And second? She asked. Sebastian smiled and picked up another document. This is to change the company's name. From now on, it's Richardson and Collins Investments. Olivia blinked in surprise. You're making me a partner? Partner, he corrected, in everything. You've transformed our marketing department and tripled our visibility, but more than that, you've changed my life. You've given it all meaning. At that moment, Lily let out a happy giggle, as if she understood the importance of what her parents were saying. Olivia tried to hold back tears, worried about ruining her makeup for the wedding. I still can't believe that in a few hours, we'll officially be a family, she whispered. We already are, Sebastian replied. The paperwork just makes it official. That afternoon, the Brooklyn Botanic Garden was filled with flowers and love. Margaret Grayson walked Olivia down the aisle, while Clara carried baby Lily, who stayed quiet as if she knew it was a special moment. During their vows, Sebastian spoke about how life sometimes gives second chances. Olivia talked about how losing her way had helped her find her true home. At the reception, Sebastian gave a heartfelt speech. A year ago, I thought I had everything. I had success, I had wealth, but I had no purpose. I had no love. Then, one rainy afternoon, everything changed. Olivia and Lily, you filled the emptiness in my life and gave me a reason to be better. Margaret raised her glass. To family, she said, not just the one we're born into, but the one we choose to build. As night fell over the city, Sebastian and Olivia danced under the soft lights in the garden. Lily slept peacefully in Margaret's arms. You know, Olivia murmured against Sebastian's chest. On those courthouse steps, crying in the rain, I thought my world was over. It was the end of an old world, Sebastian replied, kissing her hair. So we could build a new one together. The music blended with the gentle night breeze, carrying the promise of a bright future. Old wounds had turned into scars that told stories of survival. The fears of the past had been replaced by love and trust. James Grayson had left the country, keeping his part of the deal. His legacy wasn't one of power anymore, but a reminder that love can grow in even the hardest places. Where are we going now? Olivia asked softly, looking up at Sebastian. Sebastian smiled, the kind of smile he'd learned to show because of her. Anywhere we want. We have all the time in the world. Under the Manhattan stars, surrounded by love, Sebastian and Olivia sealed their marriage. It wasn't just a wedding. It was a promise to build a life on love, trust, and kindness. Lily stirred in Margaret's arms and let out a tiny, contented sigh, as if she too understood that her story was proof of something powerful. Love, pure and unexpected, can change lives and create something beautiful, not just for today, but for generations to come. Thank you for watching. If you like this story and want to see more, please subscribe to our channel. That way you won't miss any new videos. Give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and share what you think in the comments. We love hearing your thoughts. Also, don't forget to check out the other videos on our channel. We'll see you in the next story.